Did you know more than 489,722 people died in 2014 due to heart disease? This number came from Everyday Health by Madeline R. Van, MPH. Today I'm going to be discussing a specific heart disease called congestive heart failure. According to the book Emergency Care, 13th edition by O'Keefe and Lemur, congestive heart failure is a condition of excessive fluid built up in the lungs or other parts of the body because of inadequate pumping of the heart. You never want to have backing up of fluid or inadequate beating of the heart. Today, my purpose is to inform you on the way that the blood flows through the heart and into the rest of the body, the two types of congestive heart failure, and the people that are most susceptible to congestive heart failure. So to understand the two types of congestive heart failure, we have to understand how the blood flows through the heart. So I have a visual aid here to help us better understand. So there are two vena cavas, the superior and the inferior. The superior is anything above the heart, and the inferior is anything below the heart. That's where the blood leads up from and down to, like this. So the blood goes into the vena cavas and into the right atrium. From the right atrium, it goes into a one-way valve called the tricuspid valve. From the tricuspid valve, it goes into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the blood goes into the pulmonary valve, into the pulmonary artery, into pulmonary capillaries and veins. The pulmonary system is really important to understand when it comes to congestive heart failure. This is part of the lungs. So once the blood comes back from the lungs, it comes into the left atrium through another one-way valve called the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. The left ventricle is the most important because it pumps blood into the rest of the body, because it goes from the left ventricle into the aortic valve into the aorta, and the aorta leads to everywhere part of the body. So this process happens every time you feel your heartbeat or you can feel your pulse. Fun fact, Glenn Ehlert of Volume of Human Heart said that your heart moves 5 to 7 liters of blood per minute. That's 5 to 7 of these per minute. So now that we have an understanding of how the blood works, I'm going to talk about the two types of congestive heart failure. There's a left side and a right side. Usually, the left side goes first. I say this because when the blood is pumping and it goes into the pulmonary system, the blood has to come from the pulmonary system into the left atrium and into the left ventricle. Well, if the left side, like your left ventricle, has become weak, it can't pump out adequately blood through the rest of the body. So then the blood pools back into the lungs where it stays because it can't push it out. So it just pulls back into the lungs. So now the right side has to work harder to get the blood pushed out to the rest of the body when that's not technically its job. So once that side happens and it becomes overworked, then you have the right side that fails, and that part, when that happens, the blood pulls into the rest of the body. So now we have an understanding of why the two congestive heart failures happen. So now we look at who are the most susceptible. So according to the Brindlesley-Mencken and Kristen Charney, anyone can get congestive heart failure, even children. But the main population that gets CHF, congestive heart failure, are people who have hypertension, which is high blood pressure, anyone who's had a heart attack, people with coronary artery disease, people with high cholesterol, a valve condition, people with diabetes, people who are obese, people who are in high stress all day long, and individuals with thyroid issues. So these people are more susceptible because their body has to work 10 times harder to fight off these underlying conditions. So once the heart has to pump blood for a very long time and has to work even harder than normal hearts have to, it gets developed into this cardiomegaly. This means the enlargement of the heart. You never want your heart to be enlarged. You want it just to be strong. This definition came from the Mayo Clinic. So all these people can live with congestive heart failure. They just have to make sure that they're taking their medications, they're exercising, doing moderate exercise that they have to consult with their doctor, and they have to make sure that they have a necessary eating plan, because they do not want to have too much sodium. Sodium retains water, and if they already have enough fluid in their body where it's already backing up. They can't add more fluid to it because then they can't pump it out and they can't get rid of it. But according to Diana Kelly Levy, who wrote How to Live with a Heart Failure, if you do everything right, you can live up to 10 years with this disease. That's incredible. So I hope you learned something about how the heart flows through the body, how the two types of congestive heart failure, and who are more susceptible to it. Thank you.